Welcome to the vocal variety section of this course. Our voice is a great tool to use when we speak. And I often teach, verbal and nonverbal communication. And this piece is really about how do you use your voice to make your speaking better. Now, there's really four major areas that we can look at today. We can look at volume, pace, pitch, and tone. And I'm even going to dare to say, throw in there friendliness. Volume. Are you loud like me? When I worked on cruise ships for many years, and I worked in the kids program. And we used to take the kids all over the ship, and most of my colleagues needed one of those big megaphones. I didn't need the megaphone because for me, my voice comes probably down from the pit of my stomach and just bellows out. I've actually had to learn to tone it down or to use the volume to my advantage. If you have a quiet voice, you have to think about how am I going to make myself be louder? And that has a little bit to do with the breathing because we have a tendency to breathe only from up here, from the chest, and you're doing the whole, but really where you want to breathe from is from down in your belly area. And really take those big deep breaths because that is what pushes some of the sound out. Volume. Volume's important. If the kid at the back of the class doesn't hear you, you need to keep practicing. Get the volume out. Now, just earlier in one of the other courses, I started talking about the importance of not speaking too fast, and that goes back to pace or the rhythm. Some people will say the rhythm. The pace is really important. If you speak too quickly, we will forget all the important things you had to say. If you speak too slowly, people will lose interest in what you have to say. And I'm positive that whatever you are choosing to talk about is really important to you and you want to share it. You want to make sure that you are heard and that you are speaking at a good enough pace. Now, pitch. Everybody has that kid in the class with that really high pitched voice. I can't even mimic it. But you have to make sure that you can find the balance in the high and the low. I have a really low voice, so for me to go higher, it's difficult. But find the variant, and you may have to change your pitch depending on your speech and if you have voices you want to do or sounds that you want to include. Find the balance in the pitch. And last but not least is that tone or the friendliness factor. Create the emotion. Add the emotion in. Emotion is the thing that we connect with the most. When I tell the story of going on vacation with my husband for the very first time, we went away and we went for some fun and sun. And what I say is a little bit of rum. And we probably had a little too much because we left as a duo and came back as a trio. And 9 months later, this beautiful baby girl was in our life. You see, I'm happy. The tone is happy. But during my pregnancy, I was really scared. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was 41 when I was pregnant. My tone changed. The emotion is different. Happy because we went on vacation, scared and sad because I wasn't sure at 41 being a mom was a good idea. It's a great idea, by the way. So remember, your volume, your pace, your pitch, and your tone are important when you deliver that speech that you're loving. We got it so far? I want to check in. I want to make sure. Make sure you put your comments below so that I can respond to them as soon as possible. We've covered a lot so far, and we are moving on to gestures now. Now, what does gestures mean exactly? And I really describe it as it's punctuating your speech, but with your body and not necessarily your words. What can you do? And you want to be effective. I'm always telling clients, use the gestures that are appropriate. Now, does it mean that you have to move all the time? Absolutely not. But if you are going to move with purpose. And I'm sitting right now and I can't necessarily explain all of the techniques, but I did attach one of the sheets that you can refer to with hand gestures. So if you're talking about up and down, sideways, you want to do that. If you're talking numbers, I have 2 filler words that I say all the time, and I've tried to eliminate 4 out of my vocabulary. You really want to do that. You want to make sure that those things are effective in your speaking. Now, what happens about, you're in a classroom, you have a set space that you can use. Should you move around? I say yes, because what happens most of the time in the classes that I'm in, everybody kind of stands really straight and rigid because they're nervous, and they either talk to the person right in front of them and they forget all the people to the sides. So you want to give love over here, you want to give love in the middle, and you want to give love to the other side. Everyone wants your attention when you are speaking. Make sure that your gestures match what you're talking about. I remember this one boy, he did a whole speech on roller coasters, and I thought, oh, I can't wait to visually see what's going to happen. And I actually wrote some notes in the bar in his speech, feedback. And he came up and he did the speech, and wah, wah, wah. It fell sort of flat because there was nothing. I was expecting, we went up on the biggest roller coaster and it dipped right down. But none of that happened, right? When I say roller coasters, don't you imagine the loop-de-loops and the ups and the drop down? Make sure that your speech has gestures that match the words that you're talking about. It doesn't mean that you can't stand. One of the best exercises you can do is stand up nice and straight. Go ahead, do it right now. No, really, do it. And put your hands by your side and just leave them there. And how comfortable does that feel? Are you okay with that? Because being comfortable with your arms by your side is something that's really important. Because it shows that you are confident in being up there. Now, on the flip side, there are gestures that we don't need to be doing when we're presenting. And I actually observed somebody today in my business networking group who had a kind of a long sweater on, and she was pulling her hands in like this. Do any of you do that with your hoodies? In my classes, where they're actually not allowed to wear hoodies the day of their presentation, because to avoid just that. So just as you have gestures that punctuate your speech, you want to remove the gestures just like the filler words. If you were a young lady, and you have long hair, you want it away from your face. I knew I was going to do a lot of talking today, a lot of video. I tie my hair up. I don't want it to bother me. I don't want it to be in the way. The same goes for the boys. The ones who have the nice fringe across and think that swinging their head to the left or to the right the whole time they're presenting, that just doesn't work. If you wear glasses like me, make sure they're on nice and solid and that you're not spending your whole time pushing them up in the middle. It can be somewhat distracting. I used to be a pen clicker, until somebody said to me, Natalie, you're driving us crazy. So just as you're using gestures to make your speech even better, pairing it up with your voice, and you're inserting those pauses so that you don't use so many filler words, use your body to make your speech better. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. I think we're almost through.